What's up everybody, Caster Crashcourse here, and today we're going to be talking about caster splashing and my personal picks on which casters do it best. So first off, what is caster splashing? Basically, it's using casters that are outside of the color scheme of your deck for the utility that they provide. So for instance, if you're playing pink-green, and you decide to put a card like Zoe Roussel in your deck, you add a little splash of blue, hence the name caster splashing. An important thing to note about caster splashing is the more casters you splash into your deck, the less consistent your actual colors of your deck will be. With that in mind, since the average number of casters being played currently is between 15 and 18, I would say a safe number of casters to splash if you were playing a one-color deck would be 2 to 3, a two-color deck would be 1 to 2, and if you're playing 3 or more colors, no more than one caster splashed for sure. With that in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at the top casters. So before we start the actual list, I have some honorable mentions I'd like to get out of the way. Starting with the category of casters I call Draw a Card If X. These are all the generic casters that all have draw effects that proc based on something happening in the game. There's about a billion of these, and they're in every color, but I decided to give them a shout out because sometimes you might feel you need to look outside your colors to find some extra draw power. The next honorable mention is what I like to call the side deck casters. These are the casters with strong universal abilities, however being able to activate these abilities is somewhat situational. Therefore, unless you are already maining the colors that these casters are in, their abilities are better left to the side deck where they can be swapped in to deal with specific issues. Without further ado, let's get on to the list. Keep in mind that the order I've put these cards in is based on my personal opinion on what is most useful in a generic situation. Depending on what deck you are playing and its strengths and weaknesses, this order could change, so just try what you think is good for your deck and go from there. Number 5. Starting off our list, we have Cestria. This pink caster can cause some real disruption to your opponent. By being allowed to tap down your opponent's casters during their battle phase, you're denying them useful resources that they could use during your next turn to inhibit your progress, or stopping them from plussing off of cards that let them draw based off things they do during their turn. That's not even mentioning the fact that your opponent will be down 1 mana on your next turn. This will make it harder for them to get their quick effects and kill spells off, making your plays for that turn that much safer. Number 4. Next we have the Combat Master Lumiel. Lumiel's ability to swap enemy attack and defense can be devastating both offensively and defensively. She can turn wall servants such as Sneering Orchid and Hard Pancake from problems into paper that even a 1-cost servant can punch through. And she can help stave off devastating attacks from enemy servants such as Ferocious Mantis and Primal Sloth that have really high attack stats but almost no defense, keeping your board alive that much longer so you can help push through on the following turn. Number 3. In third we have Haru Michelle. Similar to Cestria, Haru forces your opponent to play around her or suffer the consequences. Haru's consequences are much nastier though, since she corrupts an orb if they so much as cast a conjure. The effect doesn't even have to resolve, the card simply has to be activated. You don't even have to pay a cost to activate her effect, so she's always live. If she stays standing on the table, your opponent will have to be incredibly cautious with their conjures, deciding only to cast the crucial ones, knowing that they will get bitten if they even try. Number 2. Winning the silver medal, we have Rafina Soa. She's a perfect example of a jack of all trades and an ace of none. On her own, she doesn't do a whole lot. However, paired with other casters, she can help you snowball advantage very quickly. First off, she helps you with mana fixing by essentially being a second copy of any color you already have on the table, since you can just use her to stand up the color you need. Additionally, you can use her in combination with any other caster effect to resolve that effect twice. This is especially helpful with draw casters, allowing you to draw 2 instead of 1 off of their effects, since caster effects are not once per turn, allowing you to generate advantage twice as hard. And the number 1 pick. My number 1 pick for the most splashable caster is none other than Rand Burfield. Rand does one thing and she does it well. Bouncing. So much bouncing. This effect can be crucial to helping you win games. Whenever your opponent invests resources, whether they be kill spells or attacks, into servants you control, it can be infuriating to watch them return safely to your hand, where they can continue to be a nuisance on the next turn, while they minus spending resources making that play happen. The ability can also be used to reset handy enter abilities such as Bomanon, keeping pressure on your opponent they otherwise wouldn't be under unless you happen to have more than one copy of that card on hand. Ran also has special synergy with the Heishi servant Tadamasa, and also any future servants that will have quick cast, by allowing you to use them offensively during your turn to attack, then return them to the hand to be a flash-in wall during your opponent's next turn, or to be able to attack, then bounce them back to hand, and then play it again for a second attack. Ran just allows for so many fun plays, it would be hard for me to put her anywhere else on the list. Thanks so much for watching my list. Why don't you let me know what you thought of it down below? Did you think there were some casters that should have made the cut that didn't? Or did you think that I was pretty spot on with my choices? I want to hear all your feedback so I can continue bringing you better content for Caster. Feel free to subscribe if you enjoy my content, and I hope to see you all in the next video.